once again, a wonderful experience to show work here at the Empire. And thank you to the directors and the residents who've come tonight. It's very exciting, as I said the first time around, to have the juxtaposition of the contemporary art in this splendid Victorian setting. Even if I see sometimes some members walk by and some residents, I don't want to see this. The whole idea is the diversity so that you can see the different styles, the different artists that might come your way, and you can decide in the future. When I first came here, the walls were completely blank, and I hope this brings you, some excitement and some joy, puts a smile on your face every day. What I want to do is I want to talk about, kind of going around from the foyer, and I'd like you to put up your hand, if you don't mind. It's rather pedantic and school marmy-like. But if you put up your hand, then the residents will know who you are. And I'm not going to look at these, so I'm going to try to remember everything. If it's wrong, you can tell me afterward, you artists. The first one in the foyer is the geometric work by Roy Osborne, and Roy's over here. Roy lives in Bath now, and he's an international expert on color and color theory. There is a book over here on the table that actually looks at Chromatopia 37. 27? 37?
Ooh, yeah, 27.
27. Chromatopia 27, which is one of the creations that Roy is showing here tonight. He's, as I say, an expert in color theory. He's written many, many books, the most recent being very exciting, Color in the Renaissance. And he's gone back hundreds of years to translate the works and give you the knowledge about how the colors were used and what they represented throughout the ages since the Renaissance. On the wall, just opposite Roy, is the work of Mark Keary. Mark's over here, and Mark and I have worked together for a number of years in several exhibitions that I've curated, and I suppose I'm going to say he's the master of collage. And I happen to love collage. And this particular series, I believe, was inspired in 2021 by the tragic death of his brother-in-law Robert. And so many of the works in the series are staircases and moon and all the visions that make him think about sharing these experiences with Robert, actually. And Robert lived in an apartment building on the 8th floor, is that right? So a lot of the staircases and a lot of the imagery are related to and in memory of him, which I think is extremely touching. And then the next work, if you look right in back of you, is by Gina Parr. Gina sends her apologies that she can't be here tonight. Her husband is taken ill, and she was really looking forward to joining us, but was unable to come from Devon. And this is called Who I Am 3, and it's a mixed media painting. And what I like about it is that you're all deciding what it is. And I think that's what's so wonderful about abstract art. Some think it's a waterfall. Yeah. Some think it's a lake. I think it might be just a cloud, a fog that we've all had now, overlooking a body of water. You're close because she lived in Devon, and in Devon she went fishing with her father many times, and she was really inspired by the coast. But she also had to deal with, and she says this in her own notes, so it's not really telling tales, but she had to deal with the mental instability of her mother. And so she sought refuge in actually going to the seaside and painting, and so thus the title, Who I Am 3. And she tries to reconcile the emotional problems that come with living, I suppose, through her painting. And she likes the fact that she's on the edge between figuration and abstraction. So you can all see something in that. I also see the trees in the landscape. But I don't think that's intentional. That really is just spontaneous reaction to the feelings that she had. And then if we move along to my right, there's the work by Robin Sewell. And it's floating boats. There he is. Floating boats?
Paper boats.
Paper boats. I knew I'd get something wrong. Robin is an extraordinary abstract painter. I visited him at his studio in Trowbridge. Oh, I should say, he lived for a number of years in Umbria, in Italy, came back here, and then spent, 4 decades in London, perfecting your career, and now lives in Trowbridge. And I went to his studio to visit him, and it was so exciting because he had all these wonderful utensils to paint on the canvas. He has a gun that shoots at the canvas. He has a little, I see it as a little dog. I know it isn't, but it's a little machine that runs around automated and kind of just scrolls and this and that on it. So he experiments with spontaneity in his work. But this has a serious side in that it was inspired in 2016 by the refugee problems of the refugees coming across in their small boats, if that's right. Yes? And I think the palette is absolutely heavenly. It's really a beautiful, serene kind of palette. I see other things in it, so we can have a big discussion afterward, but I can't see the motion in the sea. And as I say, that's what's wonderful. That's why you can tell I love abstract art. Then, if we go turn around and back of you, Esteban Peña Parga. Hola, Esteban. ¿Cómo está?
Hola.
Esteban and I met when I lived in Colombia, and we touched base again. He moved to Leicestershire with his British wife and is working there now. These are fluorescent flowers. You're going to have to ask him yourself to explain exactly how they're done, but they are wildflowers of Britain. Is that right?
Yes.
And if you look very closely, you can see some of the stamens and the pollen, and it talks about how the bees are attracted to these plants. And so he's tried to, through a very, very technical process, I think there are 50 layers, is that right? That he superimposes upon one another to get this image. And I think they are just absolutely incredibly beautiful. Then moving around along to Caroline Carey. Caroline can't be here either. She lives in Granada, in Spain. And this is one of 3 works. I could only take one, although I could fill the whole wall here. It's called Concierto 3. And she was the artist in residence at the Granada Philharmonic. And she was sitting one day creating little drawings, quite realistic drawings actually, in the orchestra, and then was swept away by the music, and slowly but surely everything became more and more abstract. And in the center you see that crescendo when they hit the drums and when they hit the cymbals, and so the crush of the music that came to her. It reminds me very much, she probably wouldn't like me saying this, but Spanish, of tapias, if you know tapias' word, and the whole idea of the wonderful flat picture plane, and then the signature of the artist coming back at the last moment and emotionally putting in the last part of the work. And then if we move along to Christine Laws, Christine is the consummate artist for botanical drawings. And one has to go over there and look at them and see that they are only graphite. Only graphite, but they are graphite. That's what's so amazing. They are beautifully done. She is passionate about plants. She shows regularly here in Bath. And do go have a wonderful close-up look. She's one of the most enthusiastic artists as well, and is very, very supportive and very excited to be showing here tonight, I'm sure. I'm afraid has Benedict arrived yet? No. Anyway, there's a photograph at the end by Benedict Brain, and he travels extensively. He's a photographer, he's a writer, he does photographic magazines, he has a journal, and this particular one is Aruba, and he takes the photographs. He travels on cruise liners, and so he takes all these wonderful photographs, and then he manipulates the photograph, and it becomes this almost painterly-like photograph instead of just a photograph. So that kind of is the whole lineup for this time, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you will speak with the artists who can explain their work much better than I can. And thank you all so very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.